My name is Jonathan Dixon. I'm a senior at the University of Idaho, and I work in the Ecological, Evolutionary, and Conservation Genetics Lab, and I'm in Central Washington to help with the reintroduction of the Columbia Basin pygmy rabbits. The Columbia Basin pygmy rabbit are the smallest rabbit species in North America. There's lots of pygmy rabbits throughout the West in the sagebrush habitat, but our specific population in Central Washington has been separated from the rest for about 10,000 years. And in the late 90s, we found there were only about 16 rabbits left in the wild, and so our project is focused on helping those populations return and thrive. So the major question we're trying to answer is what the population looks like right now. And we do that every winter by going out and collecting fecal samples after a fresh snowfall so we can see active burrows and get a feel for what the population is at right now, which currently is approximately 75 rabbits in the wild. When we go out into the field to trap, we're trapping in two places: the wild populations where they're released and in the breeding enclosures. And we do that by placing live traps at active burrows and in active game trails, so that as they're cruising through to find food, they go into the trap and we can get a feel for who's out there. Today we'll be using live traps to capture our wild pygmy rabbits. The goal of trapping today is going to be to administer a vaccine for a rabbit hemorrhagic disease and to give them a microchip for tracking. With the samples that we collect in the field, we take those back to the lab, and I actually am doing genetic testing on those to determine sex ID, species ID, and getting an individual ID so we know exactly which rabbit we captured. This research is going to help us to get a snapshot every year of who we have in the population and how similar their DNA is. When you have a small population with really similar DNA, you run into lots of threats through disease and pathogens that we're trying to mitigate by genetic monitoring. When we collect those field samples, we bring them back to the lab and we use genetic testing to determine sex ID, species ID, and the individual ID. As an avid outdoorsman and as someone who was a finance professional for multiple years, transitioning to research and helping animals to thrive and survive has been something that has provided so much joy to me. And the worst field day is better than being in an office, hands down. And so I encourage everybody who has the opportunity to go to college and study and research wildlife and strive to help them.